Hi everyone, welcome to Remote Teaching Diaries hosted by Quizlet. My name is Rory Yakubov and I'm really excited to present to you today an amazing group of teachers who I am all such good friends with, and I'm so excited to have us all join together and talk about how remote learning and remote teaching has been going for all of us. So just as a quick introduction, my name again is Rory Yakubov. I'm a high school math teacher in Old Bridge, New Jersey. I've been teaching for 15 years, and definitely, as everyone has been saying, this year has been the biggest change of a year possible. It's been very overwhelming, and I'm only about a month in. And I know a lot of teachers at this time have been teaching for a longer time than me in this remote learning situation, and we're definitely all learning from each other. So I'm really excited to share and have everyone else here share what's going on with them. Fletcher?
I'm Fletcher Nelson. I am a third grade teacher in Minnesota. It's my 7th year of teaching, and kind of like Rory, I'm just getting my toes wet. We aren't even a month into the school year for us yet, but it's been an interesting one already.
Ty?
Hey, my name is Ty Cook, and I'm a 7th grade science teacher formerly, because this year during the pandemic, I'm teaching online math, and I've joined these all-stars in math. So I'm teaching online. We're nearing the end of the 9 weeks right now. So we've been in this for a while, and I'm teaching 100% online, 6th through 8th grade math, regular and gifted. So I have 6 classes for the first time teaching math. So it's been very chill, laid back, nothing stressful at all for me.
Love it.
Esther.
So I'm Esther Brunat. This is year 9 for me. I am a high school math teacher in sunny South Florida. Like Ty, we close grades this weekend for the first 9 weeks of the school year. I am fully online, and teachers have gone back to the classroom. I'm still at my house though. And one of the things that I think is awesome that our district has made it clear that this school year, everybody is e-learning. You're either e-learning from your house or you're e-learning from school.
Yeah.
So whether you opt in, like everybody's still bringing their laptops, teachers are still teaching the same way. It's just you're either at home or you're in the building, but nothing changes. So that makes it a little bit smoother.
Yeah. You know what, Esther, I'm glad you said that, because I wanted to ask you guys what kind of situation you are currently in. Now, some of you briefly, guys, you mentioned it. I'm currently remote. I was supposed to be a hybrid from the beginning, and about a month before school started, I think it was early August, we got an email saying that we were going to start remote, and I was relieved. I was so unsure about, starting hybrid. Some other schools in the state had already started up, and I just wasn't sure what was going to happen. And I'm in New Jersey, and we start, always after Labor Day. So I was really happy to start remote. And then we just got notification about a week ago that we were going to start hybrid, more on like a phasing in schedule. So I was supposed to start in hybrid October 12th, but they are phasing it in by elementary schools and then middle school and then me high school. So I have to teach remote from my classroom for about a week, but I actually don't see my students until November 9th in our hybrid model. And I'm relieved about it because it bought me a few extra weeks to plan everything out and not be stressed. But also it's helping me because I've got 2 kids at home that are also in a hybrid model. So kind of balancing that out has been stressful, but I think we'll have it all together once that time comes. Like, I feel like I'll have everything sorted together, at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started the year in person. The elementaries in my town did. The middle school and the high school, they did start hybrid. But we just found out yesterday that next week, all the schools are moving to a hybrid model. So ours goes based off like the county's numbers, like per 10,000 like people within the county, and our numbers are rising up. So we have to go for at least 2 weeks to hybrid, and then who knows after that. But
We have a lot of kids that are staying remote though, like that are all remote.
I think from like 3rd grade, there's about 7 families that chose to do that.
Oh, wow. That's
Not
it.
as well, I guess I should say there's 7 that chose to do the distance learning through the district, and there were some other families that decided to homeschool.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, I mean, I have like about 18 students, so that's a good class size. Normally we're like 25. So I'm not complaining on that part, but
Oh,
and
I thought you had 7 families in the school.
oh,
Just in your class.
sorry. No,
I was like, wow, that's a
7 families from 3rd grade that goes into it. So not a ton, but the kids have had to wear masks and stuff, and we've had a lot of other things we've had to change, but we did start in person.
Got it.
Yeah, and for us, we actually started out in hybrid with students having the option to opt out online, and then teachers got to, say if they preferred to be in hybrid or online, especially health conditions and underlying stuff like that, which I have. And so that's how I ended up teaching online and then switching from science to math, because I'm typically science. And then this year I was supposed to teach science and math together. But our hybrid students are switching to full in-person learning because we're in Georgia. So we're wilding out down here in the South. We started out hybrid and now we're going back to regular school. But the students who are on, I see the jaws dropping. Welcome to the South, y'all. Everybody watching this video, they know if you're in the South, you know that we're like weeks ahead of where y'all are at. Y'all are just doing hybrid. They started on the first day of school hybrid in our district.
Like August 1st.
Yes, and elementary schools like Fletcher, in our district, they started regular 5 days a week. But you do have the option to opt out online. And so that remains. So the students will stay online who want to, but they have the option if they feel like our district has been really good about letting those changes take place. So we've had kids come from in-person to online if they felt it was unsafe, and vice versa. If online wasn't working for them, which we've had a lot of students that it's not working for them, we suggested going back to school. So that's kind of been good for students, for families, and for teachers. We're able to kind of see what's working for each kid and adjust.
Got it.
So we started fully online, and then we were gonna recalibrate October 5th, and they had sent a message out saying, oh, we were gonna go back mid-October, and then the governor was like, executive order, everybody has to go to school or we're pulling your funding. So then it was like scramble, let's get everybody back in school. But it's like also, it just meant that schools needed to be open. So our school is open and available, and the kids could choose to come in to school. But like I said, the great thing is that for us teachers, everybody's e-learning. You're either e-learning from school or you're e-learning from home. We have overflow rooms at the school, so there's like not kids allowed to be above a certain limit in each classroom. So that has been, the teachers went back last week, and then first day back was self-contained students, and then freshmen and like K through 2 came back, and then like later this week everybody else will come back. So that it's been, so by the end of this week, I believe anybody who has opted in to come back will come back. Now, from what I understand, we've gotten mixed reviews, but we usually run about 2,800 kids at our school.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard everywhere between like less than 400 to less than 200 kids have signed up to come back to school.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, and my students, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Are you coming back to school? And they're like, no, Miss Brunat. My parents said I could choose, and I'm staying in my bed. And I'm like, more power to you.
I don't remember what my exact percentages are, but I want to say that when I look at my class roster and I see the different cohorts that our students got broken up into, because our hybrid schedule, guys, is a little wacky. I see my students that come in an hour every 2 weeks. That's a hybrid schedule. So I'm not even going to bore you with trying to explain exactly how it's set up, but it's a little insane. And it's like the most minimal to see these students as possible. But I think about half my roster is probably completely remote. Like they are just staying home. And Esther, I think that's really important. What you said about like how you're teaching, that's pretty much what I think I'm going to be doing. The same thing I'm doing remote, the way I'm giving instruction is the same exact way I'm going to be have to teach when I go hybrid. I'm just going to get to project my laptop where I'm doing all my stuff on my main screen. So my students that are live with me can see it, and then they're just going to be engaged with everything the way they normally would have been with their own one-to-one devices, because we definitely don't have laptops in our classroom anymore because they gave them all out.
Oh, nice.
Have you guys felt like since you've been teaching remote that you've picked up any really good skills or kind of incorporated anything into your curriculum that you're kind of like glad about, or brought any kind of new technology in that, you know, hopefully one day when all of this is over and we are back to our regular face-to-face classroom and we have everything, whatever normal is possibly going to be, right, in the future, what's something that you feel like you're going to be able to bring over from this? For me, it's I got the chance now to really record all of my lessons and get them put on YouTube. And Esther, I know you have been doing that too, really well. I've been putting a bunch of like Algebra 1 and geometry videos up for my current students. And Esther, you've been doing all those great Algebra 2 videos. But our students in the future are also going to be able to benefit from them incredibly. And it's going to add to my learning experience. So I can only imagine, you know, in 3-4 years, hopefully it doesn't take that long to get back to normal. I'm just throwing that out there. You know, I could say, oh, you were absent? Oh, hey, well, from Corona in 2020, I recorded all of my lessons. And so you have access to them now on my YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, comment below. Like I have everything ready to go. So I feel like that's definitely been a plus that I wasn't expecting. Because I only started my YouTube channel in March, right when everything was popping off, basically. What about you guys?
I agree with you. Video is the gift that keeps on giving. I love that when students are absent, it's just that easy. Here's a link. Go watch that lesson. What I've incorporated, I think there's a few things. So I don't know how I can take the chat with me, but I absolutely adore our class chat when I'm having live lessons. Like I feel like my students have mastered the balance between like when to cut up and like when to like actually like answer questions and stuff like that. And I think that's why I appreciate the chat so much. And then the other reason why I appreciate it so much is because there's an example of a student that I had a few years ago who's now in my class. I had her for Algebra 1 and now she's in my class for Algebra 2. And she like never talked, right? Like she was a fairly good student, really didn't need to ask that many questions, but probably could have asked a few questions. And now she chats. And because that's where she's comfortable, you know? And I feel like that is invaluable. So I love the class chat. And then I will also say that I started using a virtual whiteboard system too with my kids, and not having to walk around the classroom and run around and check everybody's whiteboards is so incredible. You know, or like, see, like, are you doing the problem? Like, it's just on my screen. Like, that is so great. Wow. And I love that so much. And I probably will make them still do that when we go back to real school.
That's awesome. What about you guys?
For me, it's been like, especially for third grade, like they're young, but like them having to get onto like Google Meets and Zoom has been awesome, because since I said we're in person, I've had quite a few students who have to stay home because their family's been in close contact with someone, or their sibling doesn't feel good so they can't come to school type thing. And we've just sent a link to them through Seesaw, and they've hopped on, and like I send their parents the times of the days, and they're there for our live lessons. We put them on a cart. We always make them a name tag, and my kids push them around, and they always just joke, like when I grab my laptop off the cart, they're like, oh, you just took so-and-so's head off their body or whatever. If like I dropped something under the cart, they're like, oh, it's under Presley. I'm like, they loved it. Like they were there but not there. And so I think that's been kind of cool, just in the future, like if someone, just to stay connected with the class, if they're gone for like a surgery, or if you're on vacation, even just to check in and share the class, like what's going on, just kind of keep building that community when you're not at school type deal.
Yeah. And I agree with Esther that the chat is amazing. In middle school, it's a little less controlled than what she was saying. Our students have not yet developed the ability to cut it off. So that's a little bit of a challenge, but I agree with Esther because when you think about Gen Z and the culture that they are being raised in, they communicate through comments and messages and DMs and social media. So Esther brought up a good point, which is there are a lot of our fly on the wall students who wouldn't communicate in regular class when they're raising their hand and in front of everybody, but in a chat, we're now giving them like this voice. And so I feel like that is awesome because those are a lot of our students. And I think that that's a great like community because you're getting a lot of feedback that we wouldn't have gotten in the class. So I think that that's a silver lining. And I'm like y'all, I've put all my science lessons for when I used to teach science and hopefully will next year on YouTube.
Excellent.
And I was thinking just like y'all, it'd be a great remediation tool if a student fails a quiz, if they miss a week, 2 weeks, which they always do, you know, they're out for illnesses. And just like if a parent, for y'all and us in math, you know, if a parent's like, hey, I really want to help my student because they're struggling, but I don't even know how to do this math. Those videos are great tools for parents to go home with their students. And to, you know, go over it together. And as a teacher, now you have that ability to say, here you go, here's your resource. So I think that all of those, there's so many, like there's a million websites, which is another awesome part of the pandemic, the silver lining. That so many people are putting out resources to help people. And I think that teachers have been like learning at like lightning speed because I see a new website, I feel like every day, like the whiteboards, like Esther said, Jamboards from Google. There's just a million things that you could use right now.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree. I feel like I see that whiteboard and Jamboard all over now on my feed. And I'm like, where did this come from? Did I miss something? Like, what am I doing? You know, where am I? Actually, leading into that, Ty, that's a perfect lead into my next topic I wanted to talk about is like, how prepared do we feel? Like, do we feel like we have access to the right websites, the right resources online? What about technology tools? I mean, I luckily was able to get an iPad for myself over the summer. I didn't realize I'd be, excuse me, using it as my second device for remote teaching. Well, I'm like, okay, that's going to be my attendance vessel, and that's going to be where I'm checking in on IXL so I can have my screen here on my laptop, you know, watching my students in my chat and answering questions that way. But I'm, you know, thank God I'm able to have two devices, and, you know, not everyone can have that or has devices that are working well for them. I feel prepared with what I have. I know that when I go into hybrid, we need kind of two devices going. I need one to kind of keep my lesson going, but probably another one, which would be my desktop computer, you know, the really old ancient desktop computer in like every, you know, high school classroom, basically, that I'll monitor my attendance and whatever on. But, you know, I feel thankful for having website subscriptions like IXL. That's really helping me amazingly because there's no way as a teacher I'm going to be able to create that many problems that then show the students step by step how to do the work. I just could not do that, especially in a remote setting. And we use Quizlet a ton, and thank God for Quizlet. You know, you can use the free website version. You can use the paid teacher version, no matter what. It's so amazing to make your own sets and then, of course, copy and paste other people's sets and use them for your classes. But I'm always wondering, like, what else do I need? You know, I'm thinking for hybrid, like, should I get a little headset? Like, do I need the McDonald's, like, headset? Like, can I take your order?
The Brittany mic.
The Brittany mic. Ooh.
Yeah.
That'd be excellent.
Don't y'all feel like, okay, when we're having this conversation, don't you feel like we're at an unfair advantage because we've been sharing on social media? I feel like through sharing on social media, we all can remember before we had the ring lights, and yes, there's a ring light on the other side of this camera. It's not just glowing like this. My forehead doesn't shine always. And, you know, those types of things, I think that storing on Instagram, it allowed me to be comfortable on video. Like, I don't think anything about videoing myself or being on a Zoom, but there's another teacher that's teaching with me, and she's been coaching PE for 15 years, and now she's having to do science. And she won wasn't even used to the technology. No Google Classroom. She hasn't had a reason to do that in PE. All the things that we've really kind of been growing with through these years. So I feel like, it just depends on where you're coming from. Like, what is your district had? Did they already have technology? Were y'all just thrown into it? Because we were one-to-one for 4 or 5 years. So I feel like we were at a advantage, but also just like all the stuff we do on here for social media, we've got the technology and equipment, or, we're learning on Instagram or TikTok. So I think those are some really great tools, especially if there's somebody out there that wants to learn cool new websites. I see more new stuff on TikTok every day than I could possibly have imagined.
And I think like over the years too, just like like Quizlet, I probably saw Rory post about that like a year or two ago. I'm like, I'm going to try that. Like, I feel like we got to have that. We were used to trying new things beforehand. So this maybe has been easier. But like you said, Ty, I have like people at my school who hadn't used a whole lot of technology for them. So for them, this has been super overwhelming, where the tech piece hasn't been that big of an issue for me.
Yeah. We had technology because I work at a pretty big district, but also because it's a pretty big district, it's also like they've been trying to like jam technology down our throats. But if the teacher's been there, 30 years, coasting on retirement, they're not learning any new technology. You know what I'm saying? So we got Canvas probably 2.5 years ago, and it's like the biggest LMS like in Florida. Like, it's the same LMS that our universities use. So we adopted it to give the kids a smooth transition to when they went to university. So we got it, and I started using it like maybe a year after they gave it to us. Like, when I realized like all it could do for me, I was like, wait a minute. And so when we hit online, for me, it was like, they were like, everybody has to put a Canvas course up. Everybody and my kids were like, I was like, they were like, is anything going to change this? Nope, because we've been using Canvas. You already know where your assignments are. You already know where this is. Like, there's nothing crazy that you have to do. So it was a nice transition. But I feel like I agree with all the devices and stuff like that. I was not ready for that. I had the technology and I adapt pretty well. More than that, what I realize has been unprepared is the kids. So some schools have been one-to-one for a long time. So we have laptops, and they were trying to get us to like incorporate. They were trying to do this mandatory thing, like you have 1 period a week where you have to use the laptops, but like it was just kind of too hard to schedule. There's only 1 laptop cart shared between 6 classes. It was like not realistic.
It wasn't natural. That doesn't sound like a natural, organic way to use the devices too.
Exactly. So our laptop cart basically just turned into my laptop cart on the floor. It was nice for me, But anyway, what I brought that up for is because this weekend I needed my kids to submit some notes to me, right? I was like, okay, guys, all semester you have to submit notes, and you're going to have to submit them at the end of the quarter. I'm going to do like a notebook check or whatever. I'm like, just take a picture, and then you have to put it into this little document thing on the laptop, and then you're going to submit it to me like this. And they were like, Miss Brunat, I don't know how to get the picture to my laptop, from my phone to my laptop. And I was like,
well, all these TikTok dances, but you can't do that. Like,
right? And so what I'm realizing is that, they're totally tech natives, but not in the way that I think they are. Like, they have no, like, laptop tech is not my students.
Yeah.
Like,
their iPad, like, screen, friendly, but they're not in the way you were saying. And email, Lord have mercy, y'all. If you could imagine the emails I get from my middle schoolers, unlock this. Dude, like, they're like commands, and like, bruh. And I'm like, so I created an email etiquette, and it was also how to delete emails, how to create folders, how to, put a subject and sign your name. And, now, do half of my kids still email me the old way? Yeah. But we caught a few of them. So, I mean, but you're right. Like, we think that, like, well, how can they be so good at some of this technology? But there's a whole other side of it that, like, I asked them when they cleaned out their email inbox to prove it, they had to send me a screenshot. And they would send me emails that said, how do I screenshot? And I'm like, type it into Google. Like, you just typed that into an email. You could have just Googled it.
I have no concept of that. I'm crying because literally you've been screaming about emails since the beginning of the school year, which I love. And so this, because it's the end of the quarter, you know, all the kids are like, can I make this up? Can I do this? Can I do that? I'm getting emails from like deathslayer@gmail.com, and it just says, I need the password to the quiz I missed. I don't know who you are. I don't know what class you're in.
Yes.
I don't know what quiz you need.
The worst is when I get a parent who emails me. They don't have the same last name as their kid. I look at 178 students and I'm like, I don't even know how to match this kid with the parent. So I have to email them back and be like, can you tell me your kid's name? Because we're so disconnected online. Like, we don't have any reference point.
Oh my gosh. I'm about to make an explained video for my explained series. But how to email your teacher, explain.
You should.
Are you guys, are you finding that with everything we've been going through, like, are you stressed? Are you managing your stress well? If you are stressed, are you doing anything to, you know, give yourself a little bit more like self-care and attention? I feel like I have all these things that I wish I was doing for myself, but then I'm not. Something that I wish I was, you know, buying like bath bombs, and I wish I was doing all like the real spa, like I'm gonna take care of myself. But then I also feel like I'm really trying to, what I'm doing for myself is literally nothing. I'm telling myself to calm down and not spend every moment that I'm free like making a new teaching thing or lesson or trying not to do this. I'm actually trying to let myself get bored in the time where I have downtime, and I haven't been doing anything fun. There's literally no fun going on, just trying to manage all the chaos. But between, you know, teaching and home and everything, but I wish I was doing something to manage the stress of balancing it all. And I know I'm definitely going to be hitting up Starbucks on my way home every day from hybrid learning. So I already have that as my like mental health, you know, self-care. You know, I'm going to get my Starbucks card loaded on my app real quick, put $50 on there. It'll last like 2 weeks and then we'll be good. But what are you guys doing? How do you feel?
I used to take walks at the beginning of quarantine, and then I stopped, but I started taking walks again, and I try to like stay off my phone while I'm like taking the walk and just like enjoy being outside. So that's been really good. I journaled today on the front porch. I felt very Instagrammy. I was like setting, and I thought that was really nice. And then I agree with you with like just giving myself permission to like not be like a hustle machine. Like it's okay if you don't get 15 things done after work today because you're a little overwhelmed, and that's all right.
Yeah.
I think like there's definitely the stress is there, and I think a lot of it, at least for me, like I said, going from in-person to hybrid, it's just like the unknown of it. Like, how long are we going to be in hybrid? How long till we're back? So now I'm like, oh, I should have done this. I should have done that. I'm only going to see them 2 days a week. And elementary age kids, we can't expect them to come on live during the day because who knows where they are, who's watching them. So the stuff we're going to do, they'll do on their off days is asynchronous stuff. Love those words, by the way, asynchronous and synchronous. But so like, that's just the stressful part, is like not knowing and just having to go with it, which is tough. But for me, I stop at Midwest here, so Caribou every day. And I'm like, do I need to spend $5 on this coffee? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I do. But other than that, that's about it.
Lots of coffee. I am like Esther. I started walking during the beginning of the pandemic. I was down in the Keys at my parents', which was a perfect place to go walking. And then when I came back home, like Fletcher, I flail around in uncertainty. So when it was like summertime, I mean, literally like wet blanket, like I'm just like, don't know what to do when I don't have a clear plan. So they literally ruined my whole summer because we didn't know if we thought we were not going back, and then they told us we were going back regular. Like they didn't say online, nothing. So it was just this like emotional roller coaster. And at that point, I would say my mental health was not so good. But like once we got into like, parents rebelled, their obviously online learning came out and people kind of settled into a routine. Online learning was super overwhelming at first, but I'm the type of person, I'm okay with like working a lot to get to a place where I can not. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I'm fine with having those weeks where I got to work late or I work on the weekend, but then I don't want to stay in a place like that because it's not sustainable, So now I've gotten to a place to where I literally shut my laptop, I unplug it, and I put it on a shelf in a closet and shut the door because I don't want to see it. I don't want to check an email. I don't care because during the day I make sure to just stay super on top of it. But I think like you have to, and if you're online teaching or even if you're hybrid, because you're going to have those kids online and you're juggling both, you have to find a cutoff point. Doesn't matter if a parent emails you at 6 p.m. or midnight or 10 p.m., which they're going to on a Friday night, you do not have to respond. Like you don't. You only have to respond during hours. And, I'm on fall break right now. And all the kids want to make up all their work over fall break. And I'm like, you are free to do it, but I won't see it until I get back. So you just got to set boundaries.
Otherwise it never ends otherwise.
You mean they're not going to do the assignment and then a minute later you're not going to have it graded and in the grading portal?
Nope. And I think that that's an important lesson too. And a lot of teachers feel guilt. What you should be doing is teaching your students that there is a work-life balance. We don't live to work. Wait, am I saying that right? Yeah, we don't live to work.
We work to
live, right? And if you want to start teaching your students real life lessons, start teaching them that. Hey, I'm not available because I, as a person, need a break from this. And you do the same. I want you to work hard during the school day, and I don't give my kids homework, which I know is controversial, but if we cram everything in during the day, I believe they should go home to their families, they should go home to their parents, and they should have like that meaningful time. And I think that's a two-way street, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, which Ty leads me into wanting to wrap up our conversation. You just gave some amazing words of wisdom for sure that are super important for everyone to hear. Fletcher, Esther, do you have any words of advice or little things that you could give to a teacher who's maybe doing remote or going into hybrid, or any words of advice?
I would just say like find coworkers or friends like you guys, like where if you need help, they'll help you. If you just need to vent, they'll listen to you, because everyone's in the same boat and it's so difficult for all of us. And just just talking to people helps so much, and it kind of lets you realize you're not alone and that this won't be forever. And that seems to help me.
That's great. That's really great.
Mine is like take advantage of like this weird season that we're in, and like if you don't have to be on camera for all 50 minutes or 90 minutes, let your kids out early. Give yourself a break. Like if you're home during this season, like I worked out during my planning period. Am I ever going to get to do that ever again? No, I'm not. Like, like take advantage of like the little things that and enjoy it. Cause you said that to me the other day, Rory. You said, I'm just going to enjoy whatever time I have left, like in this season, like what I can't, not having to commute 45 minutes to work, like enjoying that, sitting in my bed for another 30 minutes. I'm going to consciously, like mindfully enjoy that. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, because we can only hope that we're not going to be in this situation again, and we're going to look back at this and say, "Oh, remember when I had to teach from home? Wow, I'd probably like to do that again." Like, there could be a time we're wishing we were back in this situation, and like I don't have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning right now to get in my car at 6:15 to make it to my school at 7 a.m. before the buses roll in, and I'll never get into school. So I mean, that's like a little victory I have for right now. And I do appreciate it. I definitely do. And I'm trying to make the most of things. And so I'm really glad you brought that up, just trying to make the most of what we have and take advantage of all the other opportunities that are out there to access all of these programs online that we probably would have never looked at or used, and just kind of growing. We're all young educators. We're going to be continuing to teach rather, for quite some time. And
like 50 years.
I know.
We got a long time left.
Yeah, listen, but we're just going to become better teachers from it. Think about all the experiences that have led up to us being the teachers that we are right now, that we feel proud of, that we feel accomplished, that we say, hey, I think to myself, like, oh my God, I remember what I was like as a teacher. I thought I knew what I was doing on year 2. And now I look back like, how was I a real teacher at that time? I feel like it's crazy. So, we've grown just so much, and I know we're going to continue to grow. So, got to take it for what it is. Any other last
By
words?
2020, we can survive anything.
Oh,
We will be the strongest teachers on planet Earth. So I think that we'll definitely grow. I mean, hopefully this is the worst that could possibly happen.
You would hope so.
yes.
But we still got a couple months in 2020, so we don't know.
I also love how we all think that, everything's going to magically change in 2020.
January 1st, it's done.
Yeah.
It's going to be rainbows and sunshines, guys. It's gonna be so good.
Everything's just going to happen. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this chat. I had a really good time, and I think we shared a lot of great information that, I love to hear. I'm sure all of you love to hear it, and anyone watching at home is going to really appreciate hearing these, tips and advice and just the realness of what's going on in our lives. We all have Instagram accounts. You are totally welcome to follow us on Instagram and check out our journeys as we are teaching, whether it's remote, hybrid, or face-to-face. We tagged our handles on our little screens here, but I teach algebra. Fletcher?
3rd grade swag, _3rd grade swag.
Excellent. Ty?
Cook in the classroom with underscores.
Excellent. And Esther?
Brunat at Esther Brunat.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for watching this video, and tune in for more diaries. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.